Is that bow tie paisley? Ah, you're a killer.
So, welcome everybody to
Can't believe
Crosstalk
Cole
with
Long has
Webster
joined.
Style. First show, and I'm very lucky to have. It's weird. Actually, let me back up. This is Crosstalk with Webster Style. I am Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance. I've been doing this for a little bit while now, and this is the first time I'm doing an IG live. We're calling this Crosstalk with Webster Style, and I am lucky to have someone whom I've been able to call friend for the past 25 years. Yes, 25 years. We're getting old, William.
I know. That's been a really long
um,
time.
but William Mapp, like I said, one of my oldest friends, someone who there are not enough words to describe him as far as I'm concerned. He is a entrepreneur. He's a creator. He's just an all-around good guy, and we're here today to talk a lot of things, but mostly tech, comics, and style. Will, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, E?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. This, like I said, this is a new endeavor for all of us. So I wanted to talk to you first and foremost. Okay, so before you came on, I was just talking about my signature scent of today, which is Zahara's Signature Pro Home. What sort of fragrances are you into?
So, my signature fragrance, the one that everyone, when they smell it, they're like, "Oh man, you smell good." It is Voyage by Hermes, and
Okay.
yeah, it is the one fragrance that is consistently smells good on my body, winter, summer, spring, and fall. When I get hugged by the ladies, they're like, "Oh man, you smell great," and so it it just works for me. It just works for me.
I understand. I'm the same way. I was saying, was Zahara is one of those ones where it's such a dumb reach for me, and it works so well. And one of the things I always say on the podcast is that fragrances are intimate, not so much as far as like somebody's going up on you and trying to give you some, but they are an experience unto themselves to each individual. You can have the same fragrance on five different people, and it can smell totally different.
Now that's
And
true.
also just based on your body chemistry, based on the weather, whether in the house, out, it can just, you can pick up different notes. Yes, Harry, you're old too. You can pick up different notes on any given day. That's why I love really experimenting and trying out new fragrances all the time. We've been going back to fragrances that I haven't worn in a while, because sometimes you wear something like, I don't really feel this, and then you come back a couple months later, it's like, oh man, like why didn't it smell this way the first time? So that's great that you really have something that really works for you all year round. And that's great. And I really think that's what it's about. It's really just finding the fragrances that work for you,
Hmm.
and just finding, and then people always think, oh, you just, you smell good for other people. No, you smell good for you. I put these bad boys on for me because this is what I really like. Now, we are here to talk about a lot of things,
Hmm.
but first and foremost, we are one of the things we bonded over a long time ago was just our general love for geekdom, and I have to say, uh, B Team for life.
Yes, B team for life.
And we always love just sort of sci-fi comics. And one of the things you and I have been talking about lately is that you, amongst your many endeavors, in addition, of course, with your lovely spouse, Sabrina, you are now entering into the world of comics. What prompted you to want to do your own comic?
Honestly, the characters that are in the comic have been in my head for a very, very long time, like 10 plus years. And the comic kind of coalesced last year. And it's COVID, and you got a lot of energy that's going around. And I actually wrote the Antidote comic at the very first half of 2020. Now, whether or not I felt the gumption or not to really go ahead and go through forward and publish it, that came a whole lot later. But the framework and everything was early 2020, shortly after the pandemic and stuff started, and I just really took the time out. One of the things that really prompted for this particular character, though, is that around, like, after the Gamergate issue, I was in a forum on Facebook, and there was a bunch of women in this group. And one of the things that they said was like, someone just got doxxed. Who's looking out for women, and who's going to dox the bad guys, doxing all these people? And so when that clicked, and I was like, I had these characters in my head for so long, and now I have a story that I can start framing around the the Martinique Danes character with Antidote. And so we'll be, announcing the comic at BlurredCon this weekend. I'm scared as hell, and we'll see what happens with this thing, and it'll be interesting.
Okay. Can I show up the cover?
Yeah, go ahead. You can show the cover. It's fine.
All right. So this is, if you can see it, digital copy of Antidote, which will be debuted this weekend at BlurredCon, the ultimate geek family reunion.
Oh, it's gonna be insane. It's well, you know what? This is a year after a hiatus, so we will see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are itching to get out, and I think especially with the, whether you like it or not, it's a private entity to do what they want. The vaccine requirements, I think people will be, it'll be a sigh of relief and a lot more open to really go out and to enjoy the company of other blurs this weekend compared to some other, just, I don't know about you, I'm still just very hesitant with being in such large crowds, but with that sort of requirement, it really, you just like, don't have to stress out as much, but you're still going to be masked up. You're still going to, follow all your protocols. You're still going to have your pocket hand sanitizer.
Yep.
Never leave home without that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
but it's definitely going to be interesting and fun.
Yeah, for us, we still wear our mask out in public. We don't go out as often as we used to still. But I think BlurredCon's going to be a masked and vaxxed event. And I think it will be okay. I think it will be okay.
Yeah, I one of the things that you see some people in the area just kind of getting relaxed, but for the most part, a lot of people still wearing their masks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have plenty of masks over there in the door now, just hanging, waiting for me to go. I keep in the car, hand sanitizer, and for the most part, even when people are vaccinated, a lot of businesses have signs that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. I'll still see about 75% of individuals walking in and wearing a mask. And I believe the last statistics were about 75% of the country, at least those who were eligible to be vaccinated, have been vaccinated. So, a lot of those people are still wearing masks now. So, and especially since you don't hear about cases spiking in this area compared to some other parts of the country.
Yes.
And things seem to be going, continue going in a downward trajectory. It does give a lot of people a sense of ease with going to an event like that. So definitely interested in seeing how this happened. Now, with the comic and Astra Comics, how did all of that come together?
So Astra Digital is my wife's company. It's a digital marketing company, and my wife, Hut Sabrina, who just joined as well. She is a tech nerd, digital marketing maven, geek herself. And she had a vehicle that, allowed me to actually publish this, and she allowed me to use the Astra Comics imprint for the actual comic book label or publisher. And it is her company. It's her company. And so I'm making the content, and that's how Astra Comics came about. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I think what she's doing is pretty cool, and she's one of the smartest people I know, and she's a really interesting chick herself. So that's how that came about.
Okay, well, if I didn't know her, I would say you just capping because your wife was online, but since I know her, I know that's absolutely correct.
I mean, if anyone is going to cap for, it's going to be me, right?
Exactly, that's my point. But that's awesome. So you're working for your wife, which is great. Now, I want to bring that back to you are someone who, and again, since I've known you so long, I know a little bit inside baseball, so I'm going to pull some things out. You are someone, you and our other friend Jay, are very much have the entrepreneurial spirit. What has that journey been like over the past, you know, 25 years or so? Well, actually, yeah, even 25 years, 'cause you still had the entrepreneurial spirit when we were in college. You know, what has that journey been like for you? Particularly being a blur, not so much just, you know, like a tech guy, but
Hmm.
a blurred really in that space and really being able to utilize that spirit to go into different endeavors, but also just bring your vision to life.
It's been a wild and crazy ride. I tell people all the time, it is always exciting in times good and bad, and just like legit is always exciting. Um, for the most part, entrepreneurship has been really good to me. It's allowed me to actually create my own vehicles and pursue my own dreams. People who really know me, they know I have this thing where I want to write my own reality, and being able to start a company. I started a couple of tech companies, one photography company, and now I'm publishing comics, which is crazy. But it allowed me to follow some of my life's pursuits, and at the same time, if I can help people win, and at the same time try to make this place that we live in, Earth, a better place, then I think that's winning for everyone, and I get a kick out of that. I just happen to work in technology, but I feel like technology is one of those creative mediums where we have a blank screen and we have to produce an application, or we have to deliver some new functionality or an app. Whereas painters have a blank canvas, musicians have a blank staff where they actually have to code, write their music, and then sculptors have a block of marble that they have to carve something out. I still think it's one of those divine things that has art as well as science in it. So I get a kick out of it.
That's awesome, man. That's one of the things I've always admired about you and Sabrina as well. You guys and it's really strange to, near the moment you met. So for the most part, so being able to see, your development as a couple, as a power couple, but also individuals as well in the sort of pursuits that you guys have embarked in over the years. It's really great as a friend. I'm very proud of you, Will, and Sabrina, you guys collectively as well. Now, one of the things about the comment I just thought about, so what sort of you're debuting it at BlurCon, but what's going to be your distribution afterwards? Is it just going to be digital? Is it going to be, you going to have print, sort of print on demand services? How is that going to work? And when is that also going to be available for people to purchase?
So this has been incredibly weird and crazy, but you learn new things about industries where you just kind of take for granted. Right now, we are talking to the retailers, the major ones. Like if you bought comic books in Washington D.C., you know who they are. We've actually talked to them beforehand about carrying the Antidote comic, so you may actually see it on the shelf. We're still working out some of the details in that regard. We are also setting up Comixology, so you can actually download it through that application, and then direct digital download as well. We're going to be premiering the comic book this weekend at BlurCon, but we are planning to release it on New Comic Day on August 4th, which is next month. And so this is coming like super, super, super soon. Also, what's really cool is that we will be having a BlurredCon special edition of the comic. They are going to allow us to use the two BlurredCon icons and some of their logo, and that comic is going to be kind of tight. We're going to be shipping it in 80-pound matte finish for the cover, ultra bright white paper, which is kind of cool. And then for the second episodes, we're also going to be releasing a variant cover with foil tinting as well. So there's a whole other part of comic book production that I didn't really know a lot about that we're knowing about today. We will be using one of the comic book printing services in the Midwest to actually produce the final product. And so it's going to be nice. This is like legit for real, and it's going to be priced at $3.99 for the standard issue, and the BlurCon special edition will be $5.99.
Nice. Like that's a great price, and I'm glad you brought up free comic book because I actually thought about something I thought about before you said it. Was going to be anything as involved or part of free comic book day as far as promotion of Antidote. Now, one of the things I want to say, look, just from a price point, I've been in the comics forever. Not so avid as a collector as I used to be. A lot of that changed in grad school when I was really poor, and they jumped up to be a lot of money. But I've dabbled back and forth. But one of the things that you hear a lot about comics, especially from mainstream, and I say mainstream, but the big two, Marvel, DC, is that the price of comic books have gotten extremely expensive. And me personally, I don't buy many books nowadays. A lot of books I end up buying, I actually Kickstarter, just supporting independent creators. But I bought the Milestone books that just came out, and I think that's the first time I bought a comic in a very long time where I
Really?
paid $5. I'm like, oh, this is worth it, just from the quality and the cardstock cover of the stat, and like, okay, I can see why this book is $5. So for you to say $3.99, especially for an independent comic, that is a phenomenal price point for someone just to be able to get in and jump on to the story that you are presenting and you want to tell. And I think that's really awesome to allow, really anybody to really, because $3.99 is, I would say it's equivalent to like $125 for when we were kids and growing up. That's like, okay, I could do $125. I'm not doing those $250 books or whatever they were back in the day.
Right. Well, that coming up to that price point took a lot of fancy footwork, but
I can imagine.
But economically, we're going to make it happen. We're hoping that the special edition comics would actually really be really valid and worth it. The foil tinting is going to be really, really cool. And then for episode 3, we're looking at something special for a special collector's edition copy of that one. So I don't want to give that one away yet, but we're looking at a different printing technique for that one.
Okay, now you talk about 3 episodes. Do you have a projected timetable for when episodes 2 and 3 will possibly come out?
Yeah, so as we're an independent comic, and so my illustrators, they only have limited capacity. So we're really targeting a quarterly release schedule. It's not unheard of for a comic like ours first coming out. It makes me a little bit nervous, honestly, because typically when I buy my books, they're coming out monthly. I'm a big fan of the Die series, so I'm always looking forward to that new issue. But for where we are today, that will work out. If y'all go out and actually purchase this comic book, then we can actually get to a better schedule. The reason why the first 3 are already planned is that Martinique's storyline has a 3-story arc for this first inaugural episode. And so Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3.
Awesome. I will say this year, and this is, I know I'm probably the choir, but people like me are the ones that will continue to purchase books like yours, or independent books. One of my favorite books of the past few years is Crossing from Red Saddle Media, who
Yes.
Bishop cosplay. Yes. So
yes. Enrica's pretty awesome.
Every time that Kickstarter comes out, I buy it. We've been following with this episode, issue 5 or 6, and it's been like 2-3 years since
Enrica's
issue
awesome.
1. Every time that Kickstarter comes out, click, because I'm waiting for that story, because the storytelling art is so good. And again, having an inside baseball, knowing what Antidote is about, and I'll get to that in a second. I think that's one of those stories that people are really interested, especially, yes, you want a worldwide, but if you're in that political mindset, especially the Northern Virginia area, like we are at DMV, pretty sure a lot of people will really gravitate to the storyline that you're weaving in Antidote. They will come back regardless if it takes 2 months, 6 months, or a year between issues. It's one of those things where good storytelling people keep coming back to, and that's one of the great things about comics. It's we love the art, but art's great. It's a story that really sells it. And as men of a certain age as we are, we know about, we lived through the boom of the 90s, and we know just the glut of comics that were produced. The art was amazing. We can't, they're like significant storylines you remember, but I mean, come on now. We lived through Catwolf, which wasn't bad, but it's still Catwolf, Captain America. Like there's so many stories that were so 90s, so just filler
Right.
that weren't memorable. And those storylines that are memorable that we keep coming back to decades later, like literally, if I had it in like X-Men Days of Future Past, that
That's
story
now
is probably
that's an awesome storyline. Like
exactly, it's like
that
40 years
is a
old now, whatever it
phenomenal
is.
storyline.
It's a story that never gets old.
Yeah.
So it's,
Phenomenal
even though you
storyline.
had great artwork by John Byrne
Yeah, oh,
and
yeah.
Chris Claremont writing, but that writing really gets you coming back, and the way Chris Claremont told that story. So that always will bring a reader back. Hey, I still like Liefeld, okay? Bishop Crossplay. I I like him and Nasir's run with X wasn't again, okay? Hey, we ain't getting all that. But yeah, I say, you put out a quality product and they will come. And I think from what I've read thus far, I think you have something on your hands that's really something that will be accessible to a wide variety of people and it really be interesting to them. Now I talked about that since I know about it. Could you tell the people give them a basic synopsis of what Antidote is about?
All right. So the one thing that I really wanted to do with Antidote is that it is a DC comic. Like it is legit a DC comic. We spent a lot of time. For instance, there's a great one of the few opening panels. We actually got a really great shot of the Air and Space Museum while it was being renovated. Like like my illustrators had gotten the tarp on the Air and Space Museum because it was current. So it is a DC comic. The one thing that if you are from DC or if you watch the national news, you will see intrigue in this comic. You will see politics in this comic. You will see power plays in this comic. The one thing that my wife likes to say is that DC is a place. And is this a family show? Is this a family show or is this a 18, 16 plus? Like
We
what's
grown folk.
grown folk? So the one
Yes.
thing that Sabrina says is that DC is a place where power, politics, and pussy all kind of converge. And so, we found out that shenanigans can bring down administrations. They cause people to get impeached. If you've lived here for enough years, you've seen news articles where people got mixed up into things that you would not have suspected. Politicos have gotten taken down in Washington, D.C. for shenanigans. And so you're going to see a lot of that back and forth. We're going to examine like how DC has this weird social construct where we have rich people, poor people, and everyone's trying to redefine themselves all the time, to be something new in this town. It's a small town, but, once you throw all the people in from around the world, it is really a great city that's rife with stories. And we're going to capture that in Antidote. You can see it on the cover as a tease, but this first issue starts out with a leaked top secret document, and so like that is classic DC, and the interplay is going to be classic DC when you read it.
That's awesome. Like I said, from living in the DC area, like already had me hooked. And I think, outside of I guess I want to say but the viciousness of our politics at times, there is something about a good political thriller. Movies like The Manchurian Candidate and things like
Good movie.
that. All the President's Men, who have, regardless if it's the original or the remake. In the case of Manchurian Candidate, these are movies that people continue to gravitate to. There are themes there that, regardless of what part of the country you are from, that you can get into, and everybody loves a good spy thriller. And I think Antidote can really give individuals what they want. And me personally, that's one of the things I love about comics as a medium. And it's something that, as a kids, we did not see as much. I'll say that kids, but as younger adults, high school, college, really, I think Image in their creation, and not so their creation, but their expansion, really pushed a lot of those non-superhero comics to the forefront, and they really brought companies like Dark Horse to like, even though Dark Horse had been there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I say all that to say comics is just an awesome media to really explore different topics. It's not just about sci-fi. It's not just about your superheroes. There are great comics out there that really deal with incredible, even the supernatural. Again, bring it back to The Crossing. That is definitely not your average comic book. And with that, and then the antidote where you have that intrigue, that political intrigue, that DC flair as well, Washington DC flair. You know, that comic is such a perfect medium for that.
Yeah, and also if you're catching it, you know, we did drop a pop culture reference to All the President's Men, and so and so it is a DC book.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So that's about no, when it's digital, you said Comixology, print, or how about astracomics.com would be available there for download, or
Yeah,
any other sites digitally?
yeah, we're getting our act together, and it will be available via direct digital download on astracomics.com. But you know, we are really pushing the other distribution mediums as well. We're trying to get like a really great and wide audience for this. And if I can, like, I have to give a shout out to my illustrators, Patrick and Melissa Magia. I've been working with them for a really long time, and collaborated with them on video games. And so I'm really excited that we're doing this in a different medium today. So I just had to give that shout out to them.
Well, I was actually going to ask you about, you know, where did you find your illustrators at? So I love, it's weird, like when I read the initial script, it's not necessarily art style I vision in my head, not saying it's good or a bad thing, but you know, when you read a script, you have a vision of everything in your head. And I saw the book, I'm like, okay, I like this. I like the way that it's done. I like the storytelling that the art does to go along with the words as well. So I was like, okay, all right, where these illustrators come from? So you've been working with them years. That's great. You know, it's one of the things I love about this, especially, you know, I'm not an entrepreneur, but one of the things that in my career is that I've been able to, once it, not necessarily entrepreneur, but that's not my main life. One of the things that I've learned, and just even starting with our core group from back in the day, it's really all about networking and building those bonds and relationships. And you continue to build those bonds and foster those relationships going forward. And you never know when you will end up working with someone or need someone's expertise for a product that you have. So at the end of the day, we all can get some coins from it.
Yeah, you have no idea how many illustrators I burned through back in the day, but they know my brand of crazy right now, and they can translate the things that are in my mind or on the page into some pretty awesome artwork. We spent a lot of time on getting the texture right and skin tones and trying to do character studies on people, and so it's taken a long time to get here, but I think they've done really, really great work.
So I'm looking forward to seeing the actual printed edition and to purchasing one and, you know, getting it signed and so on and so forth. Because I love that aspect about independent comics, really being able to get to know the creators. Not saying you can't do that at cons with, you know, I've been fortunate enough to meet some of my favorite artists and writers over the years by going to cons. And, you know, they are real, regular people as well. I met Dennis Cohen a couple years ago at the milestone opening ahead of the formerly Jeffrey Comic Book World. And that's probably my highlight ever, because he is someone who, as a creator, I have loved him since middle school, since he did Deathlock. So I say all that to say, you know, with independent comics, really being able to talk to the creators, a lot of independent creators I've been able to just befriend and learn and really support them over the years. That's one of the best things about really delving into indie comics, to really learn about creators, what makes them tick, and how they got from that idea to the execution of that comic. And even a conversation like this, all the other behind the scenes stuff as far as publication and distribution and promotion and seeing what really goes into, you know, really getting a comic from, I had this weird dream last night and I started writing, to, hey, Mom, I'm a comic book publisher.
Yeah, it's a wild and crazy story. My favorite meet, I think I met Greg Burnham and Marcus Williams at BlurCon, and I still follow their work. And I did a thing with Greg Burnham like late last year, and I think their story is pretty awesome as well. Like they were independent comics, but they had drawn, like Marcus Williams had drawn for other publishers, and then they released their own work. And that's also an inspiration that, you know, you can, if you can follow through with it and chase it, you know, and not make yourself crazy, then you can actually go ahead and accomplish it. We'll see what happens on the other side with this, though.
Well, I will say, and I know just from other people that are near and dear and close to me, that being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of long nights, a lot of lost capital, trying to recover that, and you know, unfortunately, time away from the people you love in order to, you know, make things come true. Uh, I will say though, from the outside looking in, you make it look easy.
No,
I know it's not, and
no.
I know enough about you to know that it's not.
Oh,
But
no, it is
you
not.
make it look easy with the sort of success that you've had over the years, and just the sort of level of support you've been able to garner as well, and just the network you've been able to build is really a testament to the sort of individual you are, and it's really awesome. Now, with the entrepreneurial sort of aspect, you know, is there any sort of advice you would give to any entrepreneurs that may be watching right now about how to further with their businesses and get those businesses out into the world?
Oh man, that is a loaded ass question. That's a loaded question. Where to begin? Goodness gracious. I think I think the one thing that would make a lot of sense, like if you are an entrepreneur and you're thinking about being for real with your business, is to think about how you want to exit from your business when you start that business. Like to seriously think about it. And the reason why is because I did exit my last company, and I didn't really plan for that eventuality. It kind of just happened. And I had I had a successful exit, but it was a crazy year. It was the most stressful time of my life. I'm still dealing with some of the fallout from that. And I think if you were to really think through how do you want to exit from your company when you start it, that's probably one of the best pieces of advice I can give anyone. I got 100 little tidbits I can give you, but the number one, that's what I would say.
Okay. That's a very interesting choice, but I
Look,
understand.
trust me.
I very much understand why
I
that would be
I
probably your
I
number one.
can I can give you a lot of other things too in there, but that's probably the big one. Like keeping track of your finances is good. Having structure is also a very, very good. Plan and structure all that stuff, but and also keep people who are close to you and keep them close as long as you can. Have people that will give you feedback that's honest feedback, but they actually have your best interest. It is harder to find those people than you think, and if you can hold on to those people, like keep them close to you.
Awesome. That's great advice. I think every entrepreneur, it really comes down to people because you're never doing anything by yourself,
Yes.
um, regardless of, you know, how it feels at times. And I know one thing I've learned as well, really having people whose opinions that you trust and that you know won't just say, yeah, it's great and just move it along. Um, those are the most valuable people you can ever have in your life, period.
Yes.
So yeah, so I definitely agree with that. Just even with things that I've done and am doing, just having individuals like yourself who I can bounce ideas off of, and just be able to say, is this direction right? If that direction right, how should I change this? How can I change that? Especially again, you particularly, you have a lot of knowledge in certain endeavors that I don't, in addition to other people that may live in my house as well. So I will uh, go to them and you for advice for any sort of things that I want to do. And just how you do, you find those people who know more than you, or people you just respect, and then you just, keep them around, ask them questions, and know that they will not steer you wrong. But there are too many people out here who just will say what they want, what you want them to hear, what they want you to hear, to basically hop aboard the train. I'll put it that way.
Absolutely. My the love of my life will tell me off in a moment, And, you know, I had a little episode over the weekend, and she caught me on the bathroom floor. And so it's like, you know, you're still doing too much.
Yeah, I saw that today. I was like, he just needed some time. I get it.
Oh, man.
All right, Will, as always, it has been a pleasure. Is there anything you want to say to people, anything you want to plug before we sign off?
Yeah, if you can, go ahead now.
Well, actually, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Do you want to do any, Q&A? Anybody have any questions or anything before we let Mr. Mapp
Oh,
go?
yeah, ask a bunch of questions. That's fine, too, if you want. But the one thing that I will ask people to do while you're trying to figure out what to ask is please follow Astra Comics. We're trying to round that stuff out now. We're going to be doing a really big push to try to get, you know, the comic as well as the imprint in front of as many people as we can. We've been really focusing on the production aspect over the last several weeks. And that I could write a whole like tell-all novel and saga based upon that. So Astra Comics on Instagram, if you're watching this now, just go ahead over there and follow that as well. We'll be posting snippets up. We're making a sizzle reel of the comic for BlurredCon as well. So we'll be debuting that. And then AstraComics.com will go live when BlurredCon actually starts this weekend as well. They'll be going live this Friday. So, and I can't say enough good things about BlurredCon. For many years, we treated BlurredCon as our own consumer electronics show. Back in the Studio Coworks days, we would use BlurredCon to announce our games and have demos on site and have the congoers play demos. It was really great for us. And in turn, BlurredCon has been a really solid, you know, friend. Hilton's been good to me, and they're allowing us to use this venue to promote the comic. We're doing a BlurredCon special edition. Like that's how much we value that partnership with BlurredCon. So I can't say enough good things about them.
All right. Well, that's awesome. And I'll leave it there. We don't have any questions. Will, as always, thank you for your time. If you are going to BlurredCon this weekend, make sure you find Will Mapp, find Astra Comics, pick up a copy of Antidote. If you're not going to BlurredCon, make sure you follow Astra Comics on Instagram to find out the latest details about when the comic is going to be available for sale, and that's just regular edition and collector's edition as well?
Yep.
Okay. So look for that as well. Also, Free Comic Book Day, they're going to be launching around then. So that's what, about a month from now?
It's no, it is about 3 weeks.
Okay, 3 weeks. Okay. I knew it was in May. Just, with the pandemic, things are just weird with date shifting and everything. So, all right. Thank you. Well, appreciate it, man. Take care, and I will see you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Swag out there and boss. Look, is that bow tie paisley? You're a